In December 2015, I got sectioned and diagnosed bipolar. Okay, I thought better get that out of the way with the title of this video. I've been wanting to talk about this ever since I returned to YouTube in 2018, and actually before then. I even have a detailed script logging the events that led up to December 2015. I wanted to make a film called Mania and Me, and I showed the script to my friends and they were impressed, but they said that I couldn't make it as my ex-girlfriend was a prominent figure. I would have had to get her permission to make it, but her and I haven't talked since we split up. All I can say, it was my first serious relationship. We were both in our mid-teens and it was intense. I got my heart broken and I didn't know how to deal with the feelings I was going through. I also, at the time, was doing a music course at college, and I had trust issues when it came to making friends. I didn't have much of a support plan, aside from my parents. Another contributor was my war with Adam Pearson, and having a YouTube channel that got lots of dislikes. I got dumped on the 5th of November 2015 and felt awful. I made some weird videos such as Love, Passion and Hatred, as well as Bartos and I Am Tom MT. I look back and I think they were some brilliant creative videos, because the thing about being a bit hyper is that I can get very creative. It is a frustration because these days I am mostly depressed and that does not lend itself to creativity. By the end of November, I thought I had got over my ex. I made a video called something like Happiness is the Key and talked about how I'd been feeling better. Writing this now, I know what's to come next and it's going to be hard to talk about. I don't want to go into too many details. Let's fast forward to mid-December. I had a bad cold and there were points where I felt very faint and collapsed on the bathroom floor. Due to this, I was also getting lack of sleep. I went into college for one day, and because my attendance was bad, I had missed a performance. I had a panic attack and was sent home. I went to the cinema and saw the last Hunger Games film, and the ending made me cry because it made me think of my relationship. My dad came to collect me. A family friend had seen me before I went into the cinema, and she saw how upset I was. From this day, things just got worse and worse. One of the things I did was shave the side of my head. I looked like a real edgy boy. I got a train to Didcot with my dog and to talk to some teenage boys who I didn't know. I went to Oxford and talked to homeless people, saying that I myself was now homeless. I tried to find a homeless shelter. I found somewhere to charge my phone and received a plentiful amount of missed calls from my family. I decided to go to my grandparents'. I went to get a train, but it was delayed and I couldn't be bothered to wait. Something triggered me to smash my phone on the railway. I remember being slightly paranoid that a Network Rail person would think it was a bomb. I ended up getting a taxi to my grandparents'. I went through a rigmarole of getting a taxi driver to call my home phone, then they gave the number of my grandparents, and then my grandparents spoke to the taxi driver, and I got a £50 taxi ride. On the way there, I told the cabbie that my name was Thomas Williams. At my grandparents', I made lots of manic videos, one of which was me crying and asking my girlfriend to take me back. Another was me putting layer and layer of clothing on and calling myself fat and then making jokes about self-harm. My sister picked me up from my grandparents and did a rendezvous with my parents to take me home, but I ended up running away. They did manage to capture me in the end with the help of the police. I was taken back to my grandparents. Eventually, I did get home. I remember at the time I took inspiration for doing rash things from Skins. I do want to make another video about my love of that TV show, but for someone who is heartbroken like me, it really affected me. It's not realistic and focuses hugely on love amongst teenagers who are my age. It was my drug. I think I did get some sleep whilst I was at my grandparents', but it would have only been a few naps in daytime. I would be up at night playing the piano early in the morning to wake them up. There was also a time when I took their dog Molly and my dog Shadow for a walk in the field, and there were sheep, so I just let them chase them. Being in that mad state was kind of amazing because I could make something as simple as a small walk drag out for near an hour, as I was constantly talking to myself. I was amazing. On December 22nd, 2015, the shortest day, I ran away from home for my final time. I have tried to write about my experience before, but I didn't get this far. I was up in the middle of the night, as per usual, this time playing Minecraft. I actually remember I was messing around with TNT. Also that night, I made a rant video about someone, and apparently that video reached quite a few views before it got removed a couple of weeks later. It's sad that the YouTube algorithm favours madness. I'm sitting here in my room struggling to say the next part. I've been able to talk about it in therapy and with friends, but online is a whole different matter. Side note, I wrote this and said I'm sitting in my room, but I am in the woods, as you can hear the birds singing. Also, I don't know why I'm giving this side note, just to break in the story before we get to the big part. I'm not so depressed anymore. There we go. Sorry. Back to the story time with Tom. I've been able to talk about it in therapy with friends, but online is a whole different matter. It's public, and I'm sure my family won't be that comfortable with this video, but this was back in 2015, and that's half a decade ago. I want to change this channel and tell stories, so here goes. It was the middle of the night, like I say, and I decided I would walk to Wallingford. Sip of water. I walked the wrong way. I walked along the river in the dark towards a place called Whitchurch-on-Thames. There was a sheer drop down to the river to the right of me as I was walking, and it's amazing that I didn't fall and die in the pitch black. I also wasn't wearing my glasses. It was cold, but I didn't feel the cold. Other than jeans, underwear, socks and shoes, I was just wearing a Christmas jumper, no t-shirt underneath. It probably wasn't pitch black. The moon was probably out. I reached Whitchurch and there was a police car. I refused to go into the car because I felt that would mean I was being arrested. A male and female police officer, and I waited for an ambulance to turn up. I had also at my grandparents' had a bit of an episode and been in a police car after I'd gone away from their house a few days before. Inside the ambulance, I was given a blood pressure test and then taken to the Royal Berkshire Hospital in Reading. The nice police officers left at that point, and a tall male police officer then turned up who I did not get along with. My dad also arrived. Mania makes people talk a lot. I was talking so much I was frothing at the mouth. I was talking about mad things. I was like Joker, talking about how we lived in a society and everything is fucked. I ended up walking out of A&E and being followed by the policeman. I felt powerful that he could follow me. He placed handcuffs on me and I shouted, "I'm being arrested!" No, it was for my own good. Being in handcuffs really wasn't pleasant. I did manage to get them to take them off and I didn't run away again. They told me I needed to be taken somewhere for more tests and then I would be allowed home. That place was Prospect Park, a notorious psychiatric hospital. I didn't go home, but I didn't stay long at that hospital either. I spent the night there and actually had to be sedated so that I could sleep. They stuck a needle in my bum cheek as I was pinned down by burly men. I remember I was just closed my eyes and I opened them and it was the next day. Very strange. I was taken to a place called Huntercombe in Maidenhead. I just googled it and I feel shocked. I've read reviews where patients were mistreated, being beaten up. I'm glad that I only opposed a man for a brief amount of time. I remember the support workers that stayed with me 24/7 for the first few days were actually really lovely people. I am grateful for that they were able to listen to me. The main doctor there had an air about him that he looked disgusted to be around us sick people. A thing my family has told me I was lucky for was that I was in a children's psychiatric hospital as opposed to the adult one in Oxford. They didn't have enough beds. I was out of that hospital in less than 3 weeks, the best recovery they had seen. I managed to appeal and got a tribunal from people independent from the hospital, and I was able to stay completely quiet till my time came to speak. The head doctor, not as in the brain, well, he was a head doctor, but like the lead doctor, wanted me to stay in there for another 6 months. I would have been heavily medicated. he would have kept doubling my dosage of a medication that wasn't even right for me. Crazy stuff. I would have ended up being out of hospital. Even today, I reckon I would be like a zombie. I don't know if I would have ever come off that medication. I am very lucky to have experienced it for such a brief time, even though it was traumatic. The time between me going to the cinema and crying and being sectioned was only around a week. It's amazing to think how the brain can be broken so easily. It really is a fragile thing that needs looking after. I want to make another video talking about the year I came out of hospital, 2016, and in the summer I did NCS and also went to America. I'm glad I have been able to finally share my story with you, and I hope it helps some of you who have a similar story to know that you are not alone, although I hope you knew that already. Thank you for listening to me.